Hello. This is Jen Grace, and I am sitting here with my friend Rebecca. How are you today, Rebecca?
I am well. Thank you so much.
I this is one of those things that technically this is part of my podcast, Purpose Beyond the Page. But you and I were talking about a big endeavor that you have taken a big bite out of recently, and I was like, let's go live on LinkedIn so we can kind of share all the really cool things that you were up to right now. And a little bit about kind of your background and how you ended up in this, because if you're watching this live, you can see that it is a special fundraiser episode for Blood Cancer United. But what does that actually mean? So I'm going to just throw it to you to kind of just share a little bit about your background, and then, what you're fundraising for, and then we can just chat.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much for extending this invitation. I'm excited always to chat with you, and grateful for your generosity always. So my background, I am a helper at heart. My background's marketing and communication. I am a natural sharer of things. If I find something that I deem good, I want to tell everybody about it. I think everyone should know about it. I have moved into wellness coaching and leadership development. And again, with this desire to share tools and give people tools. You can always find me volunteering somewhere. I love connecting with community. That's just in my DNA a little bit. And I had parents that raised me to be in community. And if you can help someone do something, and grew up on a family dairy farm, so not afraid of hard work, sometimes to my detriment. But again, that's something that is in my DNA. So I was introduced to Blood Cancer United in December, just before the holiday. A friend reached out to me and said, I'd like to connect you to Blood Cancer United. They've got an interesting opportunity. And he was pretty vague about it. So I was like, is this a job? Do they want help with events? Do they want to talk at my weekly conversation series, the Connext Exchange? Had no idea. But again, I love to meet people. So just said yes without asking more questions. And when I met with a lovely woman named Melissa, she said, "You've been nominated to lead a fundraising team." And I went,
Yay!
Not really a fundraiser. I have worked alongside development professionals in my careers, working as marketing support for nonprofits. So I was like, okay, interesting. Tell me more. And then she shared that it is a 10-week fundraising competition and that someone I know participated. And she said, he raised over $118,000 in 10 weeks. And I went, like,
Yeah.
I'm not sure I'm the right candidate for this. And then instantly kind of tuned into that playing small voice
Mm.
and invited it to sit down and said, well, I may not be this person. I don't know how much I can raise, but I can do something. I'm Rebecca and I can do something. So joined this adventure.
Okay. I have so many things I want to talk to you about. Can you first share, because Blood Cancer United rebranded, can you share the old brand so for people who might not be familiar with this new language?
Yes. So just toward the end of last year, Blood Cancer United is the new name for the organization formerly known as the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. And the primary reason for that brand change is that there are more than 100 different types of blood cancers.
Mhm.
And certainly leukemia and lymphoma are two very common blood cancers. But just representing the two alone left a lot on the table in terms of awareness. So the idea of broadening it out to Blood Cancer United, the organizations united in the fight to cure all blood cancers and improve the quality of life for patients and caregivers as they go along that difficult journey.
Thank you. Yeah, I know when you first were when we were first talking about this, you had to kind of share that with me as well. So I'm like, oh, I'm sure there's a lot of folks that aren't familiar with the rebrand. And what I find interesting is that when you and I were originally talking, I was like, why, like, how did you find your way into blood cancer specifically? Because I think we have some shared commonalities in our background. I think most people have lost someone close to them related to cancer. But in both of our cases, blood cancer has not been it. Yes.
Yeah.
And so, like, to have somebody be like, you're nominated
Mhm.
to lead a team to raise this money to help this specific cause, it seems like it could have been so easy to be like, you know what? There's other types of cancers that are more, I don't want to say near and dear to me, but kind of like more something that I'd rather put more of my energy or effort toward. And in this case, like, you get nominated out of the blue. You are just kind of like bestowed this honor of leading a team, and you have no actual personal connection to blood cancer. So, like, how
Yeah.
did you like I just what's the part of you that's like, "Yeah, I still have to do that."
Yeah. A variety of things came to mind. Cancer is just awful, one,
Mm,
no matter what kind. There's too many kinds of cancer, and we do all know someone that has been impacted. My great uncle did have leukemia, but that's just the one person that I knew.
mhm,
Um, and I asked more questions about blood cancer and how the research is used, and was, oh, what's the right word for this? It was interesting to learn that blood cancer research informs research for many other cancers, including
mm,
brain, breast, testicular, and even some autoimmune disease. So it was like, oh, so helping this organization with their research really has a nice ripple effect
mhm,
to inform others. And the second pillar for Blood Cancer United is supporting patients and caregivers. So, my journey as a caregiver with my mom was very profound and heavy and lonely. And learning about the resources that Blood Cancer United offers caregivers and patients just kind of blew me away in the most
mm,
positive way. They are really hands-on with connecting people with a counselor to help them navigate all the research, clinical trials, financial assistance. There's even a workbook online that you can donate if organization doesn't come naturally to you to help
mm,
navigate appointments. And that to me really hit my heart. So the support or the passion came from that support for caregivers and patients
mm,
mainly.
mm.
And then I think the idea of something attacking your blood, this life juice that we all need, we don't do well when we only have a little bit of it or it's not working well. And again, all cancer is miserable. However, you could get a kidney donation or a liver donation or part of, like, there are some of these things that can happen. Like, you can't really get a full blood replacement. And there was something
Mm,
that felt extra malicious about that to me.
mm,
So while I don't have the personal story to fuel my why, there were these elements and commonalities that felt really important and that I could do something. And again, they are doing good work. I want to shine
mhm.
light on it. I like to tell people about good things. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
those things spoke to me.
And it doesn't surprise me with you in that, because you are like I get texts at random where you're like, I found this thing. It could be an event, it could be a webinar, it could be a podcast. Like, there's always like just some little kind of nugget of something that's just juicy that you get, like, other than the personal satisfaction of passing it along to other people. It's not like your business is like making connections and your affiliate fees and things. Like, none of that exists. It's just out of the kindness and the just kind of your vision of like, oh, I think this person might like this thing, and I want to share it with them. So you kind of popping into an organization that you didn't have experience with before doesn't really surprise me. And it's impressive to have a lofty goal, of your $50,000 lofty goal to raise money by, and it's by May 7th is when everything kind of closes out. Yes.
Yes, that is correct. At least $50,000 is what I'm aiming for.
At
I've got a
least.
ways to go, but you got to have a vision, right?
Mhm. Well, we were saying before we went live, like, if you have a $50,000 goal and you come up with 20, that's incredible because it's still 20,000 versus if you had a $20,000 goal and maybe only came up with 1,000, like, we have to, because for some of us, competition is helpful. For others, not so much. And so it seems like they have kind of a good system for how they want to kind of incentivize people to go further in out of our comfort zones.
Yes. Oh,
And
it's brilliant. Again, having worked with fundraisers, their model is so smart. They have multiplied their fundraising team through this
mhm,
competition.
yeah.
It helps keep overhead lower and focused on the mission for research
Mhm.
and patient and caregiver support. It's so smart.
Yeah.
So smart.
When we think about fundraisers, because I know that we're both involved in a lot of different nonprofit charitable types of things. I think a lot of times folks will see, like, use GoFundMe as an example. I know, like, I personally previously had a house fire. So if I see somebody that, it might be like somebody that you know, your neighbor, somebody, somehow I see Rebecca say something about, oh, someone had a house fire, and I see they have a GoFundMe. I don't need to know them, and I will donate money because I just know how important it is for like community to show up in a situation like that. And it's like that for health issues. But for me personally, like, I see a house fire, I'm always donating money.
Yeah.
But what I see a lot of times is I see conversations where people are like, well, I don't want to only donate $5 because it's only $5. But the reality is so much bigger than that. So can we just like talk about that a little bit? Because I think, especially when there's a goal like 50,000, someone might be watching this, or you might be encountering people along the way and they're like, oh, I don't have $1,000 to give to her for this thing, or I don't have $5,000 to give. But the reality is that the small donations are just as important as the big ones. But I don't know how to like really get that point across to people.
Yeah. I have in my unofficial human psychologist experience, this has been so interesting for exactly some of those reasons you're sharing. Like watching someone's psychology of, well, I can't do that. I can't do that. But like you can do something. So what is that something? Is it just sharing a post? Is it introducing someone to something else, or a business? Or so it is interesting that yeah, I can't do this big thing, so I'm not going to do anything at all. It's a weird dynamic that's very prevalent and really exists. So yes, those $5, the $10, the sharing with someone else in your network matters so
Mhm.
much. So in this competition, we had to come up with a team name. And I've joked, my mentality is not like cancer crushers, but the idea of working as a team, I called it Team Everyone, with the
Mm.
idea that every $1, every one action, every one person
Yes.
matters. It all matters. And when I was recruiting my team, I encouraged people to, if this speaks to you, contribute in a way that is authentic to you.
Mhm.
So if you are a quiet person, I'm not asking you to make cold calls to a Fortune 500 business. Like,
Mhm.
don't do that. But
Mhm.
if you have a yoga studio, would you be willing to host a donation based class?
Yeah.
And I have a Reiki session coming up with the practitioner is donating her time.
Mm.
So, like, that's what she can do.
Yep.
And I've had an amazing response from a local motocross club, the Central Cycle Club in Central Village. Check them out if you're interested. I went to their meeting. They don't know me, they know some of my family members, and they have just stepped up in a really profound way. They're passing a hat at every meeting because that's what they can do. So, as a club, they weren't like, here's a $10,000 check, but they did what they could. And that is so beautiful. And
Mhm.
to, I don't know, take back our power
Mhm.
as like we are capable of giving so much more than we give ourselves credit for. And it doesn't have to look like a six-figure check.
Mhm.
It could look like showing up or sharing or supporting or trading out, your $6 coffee and
Mhm.
donating that money to Blood Cancer United or whatever cause speaks to you. That
Yeah,
matters.
it really does, and we have and whoever is in LinkedIn, I assume, with at least the person chatting, I feel like it's somebody that you and I probably both know, um, but it's only coming up as LinkedIn user. So can you please just drop your name in the chat so we know who is here? But the comment says all donations add up. They're showing up, and that's what matters. And it's a great team name.
Yes.
And I think that's true. And I wish there could be like a public service announcement because there's so many nonprofits that are struggling for every dollar. And there's so many people who are kind of on the sidelines who are like, I don't want to even give $5 because it's not going to make a difference. But we know otherwise. And I just do not know how to get that across to people. But I love that you already kind of had that baked in to kind of how you approached it with, team
Yeah.
everyone. Like that's so perfect.
Yeah.
And like when we were talking, I was like, well, let's do a LinkedIn live. Like I could obviously post on LinkedIn, that's fine. But I feel, oh, it's Kim Fleck.
Yay!
Kim, yay, Kim. I knew it was somebody that we knew. Um, Speaking of folks who were impacted, um,
Amazing.
right? And so every dollar counts, every action counts. And so, when we were talking, I was like, yeah, let's go live on LinkedIn. It gives you like more time to like actually talk about why this matters and why it's important rather than just simply sharing a post. But do I have a $10,000 check to write? I don't. I wish I had money to just be, Mary Poppins throwing money in different directions at different organizations that I care about.
Yeah.
And yet it still makes a difference, right? Because even if this conversation gets an extra $100, that's still an extra $100 that we didn't have before the conversation. And so just want to like really enforce that or reinforce that for folks. Like it
Yeah.
really, really does matter.
Yes, and this is what you can do, and that is beautiful. You could have chosen to use this time differently and not extend the invitation,
Mhm.
but your generosity matters, and this exposure matters.
Mhm.
And I think that's another big lesson I'm learning from this, but that yes, the funds matter. There are consequences to needing funding, raising the funding, like that has real impact for research and physical programs. And the general awareness is so powerful and matters as well. So going into this, I knew of one person connected to blood cancer. I now know at least six. And those stories have come up through my emails and through my posts, or someone has donated and then left a note saying, my college friend like lost a battle with blood cancer.
Mhm.
Um, Someone at the club, they have a loved one going through blood
Mhm.
cancer and it
Mhm.
showed up in a weird way. He had a backache and now he's hospitalized with blood cancer.
Mhm.
So that awareness and letting people know that these resources are available, it's been really profound and interesting. So my
Mhm.
first email request to people, letting them know I was doing this and donating, later in the day, I got a phone call from someone and he was saying that a business acquaintance, her husband was dying of blood cancer and how could I help? And I was like, I don't know, like, so got on the phone and was able to put them in touch with someone. But those things matter too, like those interactions, the awareness, the connection to help someone realize that there are resources and they're not alone.
Mhm.
Um, a health journey is so overwhelming. So if there is any hand reaching out, like I want people to know about it, that they
Mhm.
can get supported. So even that benefit beyond the dollars, and the dollars back up the support. So again, it's a fundraiser, it's all connected, but helping someone have access to resource, that matters also. That
Mhm.
action matters. And this will help with that as well.
Yeah, and have they, as part of this specific fundraiser for them, have they outwardly said specifically what initiatives or programs or anything that this particular fundraiser is going toward, or is it just still kind of just the general operation of it?
Yeah, it's the general three pillars. So, funding blood cancer research, funding their patient and caregiver support services, and advocacy. So, working through our political systems to make sure that healthcare is more accessible and all of those things. So they're pretty focused, and in each of those buckets I cannot speak to the research, but if you go to bloodcancerunited.org and check out that research tab, if you are a science-minded person, woo, you can get in the weeds with some big words, and all of the things that they are doing are amazing. And the same thing with the caregiver and patient support. They have special children's books and YouTube series. So if there is a child going through or a sibling, um, that you'll appreciate this, Jen, right? Books, and the power of storytelling to
Mhm.
help communicate with that age group. And there's a podcast, there's peer-to-peer support systems, there's nurses that help navigate you through clinical trials. There's a dietary program for anyone with cancer. So that is one that's not just specific to blood cancer, but anyone with cancer can get a dietary consultation. So there is so much.
Yeah.
And all these things that we don't give enough credit to our bodies and their complexity and how when
Mhm.
they are healthy, all these things are working, you
Mhm.
know? It's just really important. But yeah, those are the 3 big buckets, and of course, there's a
Mhm.
lot of details in between there.
Yeah, and it's amazing how many resources that are already available and in existence, and like you said, like, a health journey of any kind is overwhelming because you're in pain and you don't know where to go. There's tons of information, conflicting information. It's almost like when you're trying to research anything new, right? I talk about this from a publishing standpoint, like, it's hard to figure out how to be a first-time author because everything conflicts, and you can go to the internet and search anything and find 10 different opinions, none of which are in agreement with each other. And I cannot imagine the additional weight when your health is on the line, your life is on the line. And now you're kind of trying to navigate all of these different things. So I love that their resources already are so strong and robust. And I imagine that is must be the case for other types of cancer organizations and things like that. And so and I love the dietary side of things because diet is such a
Yeah.
huge component when it comes to health, especially cancer. So
Yeah.
I love that that's kind of just an available resource. And like, I didn't know that existed. And now I do because of you saying yes to that invitation.
Yes. Yes, and I mean, the reality of our medical system is it's quick. It's, like,
Mhm.
designed for speed, so to have an organization to support, like, stay on the phone with me for an hour and answer my questions about what's going on with me,
Mhm.
um, that matters in the grand kind of team effect of things, right? You've got your immediate doctors, and then there's the other stuff. And again, when I was caring for my mom, I've reflected on this now again. Not
Mhm.
one person, not one in the medical setting, a receptionist, a nurse, a doctor, ever pointed me to like a caregiver support group or asked how I
Mhm.
was doing or are you doing this on your own or and I'm not saying that's the story for everyone, but
Yeah.
again, that's what really struck me about what Blood Cancer United is offering because
Mhm.
it was like, "Oh my god, like if I had these resources, that
Mhm.
journey could have felt a little lighter perhaps."
Maybe a
Uh,
little less alone.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Wow.
again, it's about the patient first, right? But there is
Mhm.
this team of people, like, it's not I know some people unfortunately are probably in this position, but you need someone to advocate for you
Mhm.
when you are not well, to your point. Like, you're not at your
Mhm.
best, you're not
Mhm.
operating at full capacity.
Yeah.
You need someone to help manage your appointments and ask other questions and dig in and listen and receive beyond the I'm in pain, like
Mhm.
the physical reality that you're going through.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, and there's just the medical system that just doesn't believe people the first time, and you have to, like, really fight to get a diagnosis of something,
yeah,
and, like, the
yeah,
system is not designed really in any constructive way, in my personal opinion, but that's why these organizations are so important because they are the ones that are acting as that central hub of information, and in some ways, the advocates. Like you were saying that, one of the pillars of this organization is the advocacy side, and so
mhm,
I think that that's something to consider too, is maybe you don't have a platform to elevate what you're doing, Rebecca, or maybe someone doesn't have the resources to give a big donation, but maybe they have an advocacy background and maybe they can show up to some kind of a hearing or lobby or whatever the thing is that the organization is saying would be really helpful right now if we had more people on the ground doing this thing. All of that matters too, like showing up to
yes,
meetings, especially political related things, government things, like bodies showing up, people to write in their opinions on things, like that has such a huge weight on how legislators make decisions. And yet you look at some of the different kind of things that people are bills that people are trying to get passed, and there's like 10 people who showed up, and it's a topic that impacts hundreds of thousands of people, and yet you have like 10 voices. So I think it goes from so high to so like give a dollar if you have a dollar. Right? Like
Yeah.
it really it's everything in between and all of it makes a difference.
It does, it does. And I think there can be this overwhelm felt by just there are so many needs. There
Mhm.
are so many worthy organizations. And I did have people say to me, like, I've focused my fundraising efforts on breast cancer, or I
Mhm.
focused my fundraising efforts on Special Olympics, and like, beautiful,
Mhm.
right? That's beautiful. So choose something and do what you feel like you can do. I mean,
Mm.
just like maybe not the capacity to write a $10,000 check. If you give $5 to thousands of organizations, like that may not work for you either,
Mhm.
but like
Mhm.
choose something that speaks to you and believe that you can show up in a way that matters because you can. Your
Mhm.
actions matter, your contributions
Mhm.
matter, your voice matters. Again,
Mhm.
we downplay ourselves and feel like we can't make a difference, but we can and do every single day when we show up.
Yeah. Yeah. And I like having a filter is kind of what you're a little bit of what you're kind of around, right? Of having like that filter of these are causes or organizations or things that I deeply care about. So when the opportunity comes by for me to do something about this thing, then I say yes. And
Yep.
if it's not something that falls into those buckets, I kindly pass on the opportunity.
Yep.
Like even having the self-awareness for something like that. I think of my mind at one point you were talking went to like Girl Scout cookies, right? Like Girl Scouts, they're out there fundraising, and I love seeing the ones that are out there hustling. Like
Yep.
it brings me such joy to see like these little kids on the side of roads, like just really out there hustling. And like in that case, there's an exchange, right? Like you're buying a cookie and it's going a box of cookies and it's going towards something different or something to support the organization. And that matters too. And that might be something that you're like, yes. So when I see Girl Scouts, I'm going to go support them. Or
Yeah.
when I see somebody doing, a fundraiser for a car wash to support someone local, that's going to be something I do. Like, again, like it doesn't even matter. But I love just the idea of like, what are the things that I care about? Because I
Yes.
imagine, and maybe I'm wrong here, but I imagine there's probably a lot of people who are living in survival mode and they can't even really think outside of just their own day-to-day existence. Maybe it's for their own health reasons, maybe it's for financial reasons, familial reasons. There's a lot of, I think, ways in which our country is not supportive of the people who live in it. And so there might be a lot of reasons why you can't even actively think about this. But maybe this is a takeaway from this conversation too, is like just think about the things that do matter. And again, maybe it's only $5, or maybe it's you posting on social media, or maybe it's you passing the invitation along to somebody else or showing up to an event or whatever the case may be. But at least you now have like, oh, that's actually something I really care about. I do care about blood cancer, breast cancer, colon cancer. There's things that really matter to me and I can show up and do them. Or I care about supporting future leaders. So I'm going to go, support the Girl Scouts or whatever the case may be. I kind of like, because I've never thought about like really thinking that through because I have so many things that I'm constantly involved in that like when I made those decisions, I don't know, but I know other people haven't probably made them yet. So I kind of love that idea.
Yeah. Yeah, having that awareness, and the people that declined supporting me because they had focus on where they
Mhm.
channel their energy, I was like, "Man, that's beautiful." Because I can be a, like, "Sure, I'll help. Sure, I'll try.
Mhm.
Sure, I'll help." And
Yeah.
certainly I do have causes and values, and I think one of my values is being a helper and helping when I can, so that can feel a bit crazy at times. So that
Mhm.
focus matters too, and
Mhm.
yeah, just finding the thing that speaks to you, because we're all different. We're here for different reasons. But
Mhm.
man, if we all show up and contribute, what a
Yeah.
beautiful impact we could have.
It really is. And I was just thinking about the fundraiser that we did in Connecticut, the art show supporting medical supplies for Ukraine, and how you showed up to that and bought like a really freaking cool piece of art,
Yeah.
and like that's also part of the thing too, because that might be the filter for someone, right? Like I will go to silent auctions, I will go to events where I can put money down and I can get something in exchange for that money that's still going to that organization because whatever the thing is that you bought was donated. So like that all still counts too. So, I think it like really matters. And I just remember how excited you were with that art piece that you got. And like I also bought some art. And like I look at it and I'm like, yeah, like that's going toward a good cause.
Yes. Listen, yes. So that was another part of my team everyone. Like, wouldn't it be beautiful if we get artists and motorcycle riders and food enthusiasts and wellness advocates like all together because cancer affects everybody. So can't all of us show up to
Mhm,
support a cure? So finding those windows and doors for people to be invited through is so important. Um,
mhm,
and yes, I have 3 pieces from 2 different events, supporting those medical supplies, and my
mhm.
lovely tray named Vitalina, and
Yeah,
the beautiful painting that looks at me every morning down the hallway, and I have another one right over here.
yeah, it
And
was your
and
tray. I remember you getting the tray, and I was like, "Oh, that's such a good
yes,
piece."
yes. And something that called you, just like a cause. Like,
Mhm,
sometimes this dives into the woo space, which I know you don't shy away from, but there
mhm,
are things that speak to us. Energy speaks. Our energy
mhm,
speaks. The stuff that is around us, some of us,
mhm,
it speaks in a really heavy, like icky way, and we
mhm,
need to like clear out the clutter, and other things speak in a really inviting,
mhm.
kind of purposeful way. And yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, and this is, for someone who might be catching this, like, this is your invitation to explore whatever that is. Would it be wonderful to add money to Rebecca's goal right now? Yes, as a matter of fact, it would. And if it's not speaking to you, but something else speaks to you today or tomorrow or next week, do it, right? Like, just go ahead and do it. And I think listening to our intuition is so important because you could be just driving down the street and see like some sign on like on the telephone pole that's saying something about a fundraiser of something, and that might just speak to you for whatever reason. I feel like we question ourselves too much. Like we let our logic kind of like pop in and be like, is that really like, or our ego? It's like logic and ego are like completely like front and center, being like, really, Rebecca, do you need to be like going to this whatever, like the breakfast at the firehouse or whatever the thing is that we see those signs for? Yeah,
yeah,
you do. Like, if it's speaking to you, like, show up and do it. You don't need to know anybody, right? Like, everyone's there because they're doing something for someone else. And so I also find fundraising environments and communities to be much more open and accepting because, like, you're just showing up and people are like, amazing, another person in the room, right? Where there's not like an exclusivity feel to it.
yes. Yes, intuition. Whew, it is powerful, and I am unlearning some of the thinking myself out of my intuition.
Mhm,
And this fundraising competition truly has been part of it. I
mhm,
mentioned at the start there was this little scarcity voice of like, well, you can't raise that much money, and just putting that friend aside and
mhm,
trying something different. And this has been hard, and it has
mhm,
felt lonely, and it has been really challenging. And also, there's a part of me that knows I am supposed to be doing this.
mhm,
There's a reason why the yes came up instantly and kind of invited that smaller voice to sit down, and it's not all been fun. But that's okay. That's
yeah,
part of the journey, and it's helping my personal growth, and it's helping Blood Cancer United, and it's a beautiful thing, and
mhm.
I'm supposed to be walking this out.
Mhm. Yeah, I love that because there's the deeper meaning behind why you were bestowed. Like it was like a fairy just came and be like, "Boop, Rebecca, this is for you to do right now."
Yeah,
There's a reason for it, and you're exploring what those reasons are, which is incredible, and I love it.
yeah,
Kim in the comments said, "Be good and do good." I think that is a very simple, easy mantra to live by, and I feel
I
like
love
you and I are already, and Kim as well, are already kind of like in that space. Just kind of our general kind of like mode of operating is, showing up and just being good and doing good for others. Yeah,
yes.
not that
And
complicated.
I know we've talked about it, but I think it's worth repeating. Like, I may not be able to solve all the problems, or if it's a really big one, like even one big problem, but I can do something to move us a little closer. Like
Mhm,
each of us, just, yeah,
mhm,
show up for good, whatever that means in your world. Mentor a
mhm,
kid, like help your
mhm,
neighbor, whatever it is.
mhm.
Show up.
Yeah,
Show
volunteers are literally needed for absolutely every cause known to humankind. Like, truly every cause needs volunteers. Big, small, super hyper local neighborhood to global, everyone needs volunteers. And it doesn't always require money, and sometimes it doesn't even require a lot of time. Mhm.
Correct.
Mm.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Mm.
Yeah.
This is such a good conversation.
We need people.
We
We need
do. Is there anything that you would like to say that I did not ask that might be helpful as we conclude?
Sure. Yeah, I would love to do kind of a direct pitch, if I may.
Please
In
do.
the show notes, there is a link to donate. So any donation, as we've discussed, any monetary amount is welcome. And the campaign ends on May 7th. And there also is a finale. So if, like Jen was talking about the art show, if you like a night out, if you want a festive night out with friends, tickets are available for purchase through my fundraising link. Come out May 7th at the Riverview in Weetog, Simsbury, and have a nice night out. Bid on an auction item. Would be happy to welcome you. And if you know someone connected to blood cancer that may want to join me in this adventure for these last few weeks before May 7th, come on over. Find me on social media, reach out because there's still plenty of time to go and plenty of time to raise more funds and more awareness. And I'm so grateful for you, Jen. Always as a generous connector and a kind human being, and someone who believes
Mm.
in the power of stories and believes that we are here for a purpose. And thank you for your generosity in providing an act that you are able to provide and providing this platform and sharing me with your audience. I am grateful for you.
Thank you, Rebecca. Yes, and it was 10 weeks. There's 3 left. There's a lot of time,
Yes.
a lot of 30% left to go. Plenty of
Yeah.
time to still do something. So get in touch with Rebecca. You are tagged in in this as well. So if people want to connect with you on LinkedIn, I suppose that is a perfectly good way to do so. And then the link, as you said, is in the bottom. Thank you, Rebecca. I love what we can do together as people. And
Yes.
this was a fun conversation. I appreciate it.
Yes. Thank you.
All right.